wherever in the world that you are viewing this. My name is Kemi and I'm a network engineer by profession. And for this channel, on this YouTube channel, we'll be going through some classes on networking, particularly for those that are passionate, those that are eager to know everything that has to do with networking, configuration, troubleshooting, maintenance, everything, all inclusive. So for this channel and particularly this introduction, we'll be working with a particular device known as Mikrotik. Mikrotik, for me, I love it. It comes handy, easy to configure, easy to work with, it's easy to also troubleshoot, easy to deploy as well. They have different products. You can check that one out on their website, mikrotik.com, and from there we'll get to know what we need to deploy our networks using Mikrotik. But for starters, of course, we need a very good laptop, you will need a Winbox, you will need an Ethernet cable, and then you will need a Mikrotik device. I wish you the best in all the endeavors, even as you want to be part of this class and to also add to your knowledge. And we'll drop in our numbers, emails for contact and other further inquiries. Thank you very much. Welcome once again. So today we'll be working on Mikrotik routers, just like I have said in the introduction. So what's our purpose for today? Our purpose today is just to set up two networks, different sites, and then connecting them together. Two networks at different sites, connecting them together. What is a network? Network is just an interconnection of devices for the purpose of transmitting and receiving information. Information can be video, it can be data, it can be audio, it can be text, it can be picture, it can be anything. Whatever you want to send across to the other person at the other end for viewing, for analysis and whatsoever. So to achieve this purpose, you need network devices, and that is where guys like us comes in to set up the infrastructure so that you can, instead of you going physically from one point to the other, you can do it through the devices. So the devices we will be making use of is a Mikrotik device. Of course, you can use other devices, but just as I'm a specialist in a Mikrotik device. I have some certifications: MTCNA, MTCWE, MCRE. Then before this year runs out, God helping us, hopefully I will achieve MTINE, that is Internet Network Expert. So these are the two routers, presumably that they are on different sites. This is Half-Light for small home office use. This is RB750 also for small home. There are also high-grade routers by Mikrotik that can do enterprise. So, but one advantage is that they have a particular it is the same utility across. You don't need different utility to access RB750, then you now need another utility to access RB1100. No, the same utility across, the same interface across. Their GUI is the same, both for Half-Light 750, 1100, 1200, Cloud Core. The GUI, the graphical user interface, is the same. The configuration also the same. It's not that maybe on this one, this is how you configure IP, on that one, no. The same configuration all over. So presumably now, these are the two routers we'll be using at the two different locations. You can call location A or location B. I'm in Nigeria and I'm from Nigeria. I'm residing in Lagos, so we can use Lagos as an environment. We can call site A Yaba, site B Surulere, depending on how familiar you are with Lagos or how you just want to design the network. So first and foremost, you need to go to Mikrotik website. That is www.mikrotik.com, and from there you download your Winbox, because you will definitely need Winbox to access these routers. So it's very easy. So just go to your browser, Anyone that you are using, Google Chrome, Mozilla, Safari, whichever one that you feel comfortable working with. From there, mikrotik.com. Then from there, you go to download. You go to download. Then from download, you see your Winbox there. Sorry, software. Then from software, you go to download. From download, you see your Winbox and you download the version. Depending on the operating system you have 32-bit and 64-bit. You can download it too. Then after that, just note this: accessing Mikrotik device for the first time. If you check the device after unpacking it, you will see that they have some list of MAC address. That's the hardware address for each port on the device. So whichever one that you are connected to, you can write out the MAC address and use it to log in. Or even from the Winbox, there is this neighbor feature. Once you click the neighbor feature, it will show you the MAC address of the device. So from there, you can now log in using the MAC address. The login details, admin, while the password is blank. So you can use MAC address. You can also use the IP address. The default IP address that normally comes with Mikrotik is 192.168.88.1. So if you connect your system to that, your system has to be in the same network range with the default IP. That means your network, configure your network adapter of your laptop, configure it to be on 192.168.82.2/24. For those that are using slash notation, /24 is the default subnet, while for those that are using decimal notation, is 255.255.255.0. That's the class C IP. So once you can have those two, then you can just log in. Like I said earlier, I preferably like using a MAC address, so it saves time instead of me going to the network adapter of my system, then changing the IP. Particularly for first time login, I just use the MAC address straight. Then the admin is the login, password is blank, and I click connect. Once you click connect, it will take you into the Mikrotik feature itself. You will see a particular display. You see, I normally do this. I'll click remove configuration. The reason why I normally click remove configuration is because there are some default configuration that will come with your Mikrotik routers, and if some of them you leave it as they are, it might not cause issue, but so that you can know what you are working with. Because in some cases you might want to do a kind of failover, a kind of backup route for your configuration, and they have already pre-configured some ports. So if you are not aware of them, it might be causing some bottlenecks on your network. So I normally remove configuration. Once you log in with your MAC address admin, a window will display prompting you for you to remove configuration. You can leave it depending, but I will advise that you remove that configuration. And what I normally do is that I will you will get logged out. When you scan again using the Winbox, you will now see that most of the configuration will have disappeared. Also, when you click remove configuration, after you have clicked remove configuration and you launch the Winbox again, you will see that the default IP, which was 192.168.88.1, will have been removed, and you will now be left with 0.0.0. So once you are in, then you can start your configurations. I also advise that once you log in, there are some ports that you need to disable once you log in, because you are not going to be using every of the ports, particularly for managing inbound traffic. Now, this API, you can disable it. For you to disable those ports that you are not going to be making use of, just click IP, then click on services. Then start disabling the ports one after the other. This API, I disable it. API SSL, I disable it since I'm not running those applications through the router. FTP, I'm not running it. I'm not doing file transfer through my router. SSH, you can leave it open. It's a secure shell. I advise that you disable it if you are not going to use it at all. Also disable it. Since we have Mikrotik utility software, which is the Winbox, I'll disable every other thing. www is the port for your web interface. 80 is, we already know that it is not secure. Port 80, everything you are doing on port 80 is in clear text. Your password is missing in case there is a sniffer around. I disable that as well. Even for telnet too, port 23 is also in clear text. For those that are into sniffing the security aspect of this job, I disable it as well. So I'm only left with Winbox. If you disable Winbox and you close it, you have disabled everything. If you close this Winbox, you will not have access to this router again. The only way you can have the access to the router is by going through a reset. Every Mikrotik router comes with a reset button. You can hold down the reset button, power off, then power on, leave it for some time, and it will reset the configuration. I can now log in again. But I won't do that here. So I'm leaving the port for the Winbox open. What others also carry out is that sometimes you can also change the port number of your Winbox. You can also change the port number of your Winbox. But I'm leaving this as default, and that's 8291. For future references, we can be doing the changes. So the next thing to do, also you can go to neighbor, that's IP neighbors. Then here you can on discovery settings and check this, choose none. The reason for this is that so that other connecting devices will not be seeing the details of your device. These are just to put some security checks on your network. Now that we have the first router cleared, we'll go ahead and name it. Want to name it, go to system, then from system you go to identity. So you can call it site as Yaba. So site as Yaba, apply, and okay. Another means of configuring a Mikrotik is through the new terminal. For example, assuming I use my SSH, like utilities such as PuTTY, I use it to access my router, I can do my configuration from a new terminal. The same thing that I did, as you are doing it, through the Winbox, the same repetition also through your new terminal, like disabling those port numbers. I will go to IP services. If I want to check IP services, then print, you can see it's telling me that these are the ports that have been disabled. X is for disabled, I is for invalid. So you've rendered that port useless on your router. You're only left with Winbox. So if I want to let's just say I want to enable the SSH. Looking at my list, I can see that SSH is on number 3. So to that, I'll just go to IP service, enter, enable, then the number, which is 3. So if you now type print again to show all those ports, you can see that my SSH has been enabled again. So disabling it, the same thing. You can use disable for completion of commands, your tab key, disable 3, print. You can see that the SSH has been disabled again. So since we are connecting two sites, we need two sets of addresses. I will be using arbitrary. I will just generate our IP. If you have gone through IP classes before, you will understand that there are public IP addresses and there are also private IP addresses. There are also some reserved IP addresses which are not expected to be used on the internet. But for our own sake, because we are not actually connecting to the internet at the moment, we can generate our IP freely and just restrict the communication within our network only. We are not interconnecting with other networks at the moment. And that's what even internet is all about. Internet is not just because I launch www.yahoo.com or I can have access to Facebook, WhatsApp, or those applications. Internet is just interconnection of networks. My network, your network, then we commit together to share information or resources. So for the site at Surulere, for the LAN, we need a LAN IP for indoor or for the network at Surulere. Then for the network at Yaba, also need a particular set of IPs. Then for the connecting network, the IP that will connect Surulere to Yaba, we also need a set. That's why I said we'll be needing two sets of IPs. Like for those that have been inculcated into networking, they will tell you WAN and LAN IP. The WAN is for the one that is sending the traffic out, going out to others. That's just one. That's just the brief summary of what WAN is all about, wide area network. What will take me outside to others. Then LAN, that's just you being in your own place. You are not going to anywhere. You are just inbound. That's in LAN local area network. That's just a brief explanation of it, because this class or this tutorial, this channel to say, is just for for you to get up and running as fast as possible. You can do more by learning more as well, or maybe in future videos we can now be breaking everything down one after the other. So for the site at Surulere, I will give it 192.168.1.100/24/24 for class 1.0/24, sorry, 192.168.1.0/24. For a slash 24 IP address, that's a class C. This will give you 254 addresses. In other words, you can have up to like 254 hosts, your laptops, your PCs, your phone, your scanner, your printers, CCTVs. They can, that's like 24 is letting you to know that you can have up to like 254 devices on that network. So for Surulere, 192.168.1.0/24. While for Yaba, we just move to 192.168.2.0/24. Then for the interconnecting address, the one that will connect Yaba to Surulere, we can make use of /30. And because if you have done your IP addressing and subnetting properly, for you to connect two devices together, you just need a /30 subnet. That's for the slash notation. For those that are into decimal notation, that's 255.255.255.252. So I'll be using the 10 network, 10.10.10.0. So Yaba can be .1 or .2. Surulere can also be .1 or .2. So if Yaba is .1 on /30, definitely Surulere will be .2. And if Yaba is .2, definitely Surulere will be .1. So I am in Yaba router right now. So let me just configure the IP. If you want to configure IP on Mikrotik, you come to IP, you click on addresses, you click on add IP addresses, then add. So let me just set up my one IP address at Yaba 10.10.2/24. And where will I be dropping the link? I'll be dropping it on ETA1. Apply. Okay. This is one of the ways. Like I said earlier, you can configure Mikrotik addresses through their GUI, and if you are also proficient in the new terminal using your PuTTY, TerraTerm, whichever utility you are comfortable with, it's still the same. So I'll just quickly show you that on your PuTTY or whatever. Just log in, click on it. When you are after logging, you just say IP address, press your enter key, then add address. Whichever address you want to add, let's say 10.10.10.5. Then don't forget to add the subnet, the slash notation. So let's say /25. Then your interface where you are going to connect, where you are connecting that IP address. You can call it ETA3 or ETA4, whichever comfortable. So to view the addresses configured on my Mikrotik router from the new terminal, after typing IP address, I can say print. You can now see I have two addresses configured, 10.2, 10.5. I'm only interested in the 10.2, so I can remove 10.5. To remove the 10.5, just type your remove. So as if you are just speaking English to it. Remove. I want to remove. Remove what? Remove one label as one. Remove one and enter. If you show again, unlike some devices when you want to see the configuration, that show interface, IP brief, show configuration, show this, show that. Instead of using show, When you come to Mikrotik, it is print. So I want to see the IP addresses configured, IP address, then print. Press enter. You can see I only have one left, 10.0.0.2. So I've done the WAN configuration. Then for the LAN, I can say add again. Let me do that one through the new terminal 192.168.1.1/24. My interface be eta 2. That has been done through the new terminal. If you go to your mailbox IP address, you can see that that's one. So remember I told you that I'll be using 1.0 and 2.0, and you can see that when applying this IP address, I didn't use 1.0, I only said 1.1. 1.0, there are categories or classifications or subdivisions of IP address. There's a particular category, we call them network address. There's another category, we call them host address. And the last category is direct broadcast address. Only the host address are to be configured on your devices, your routers, your switches, your hubs, your PCs, your laptops, your phone, and the likes like that. Only the host address. The network address and the direct broadcast address should not at all be configured on your devices. And another point that I also want to slot in is that we are using IP version 4. In some time from now, I think IP version 4 will be out of use, moving on to IP version 6. But you know, for you to even get to IP version 6, you will have an idea of how IP version 4 works, because you also be needing a knowledge of that IP version 4. Maybe one of these days, we'll just take our time out and do IP addressing on version 4, how you can configure it, how you can subnet, and how to do whatever you want to do on the IP address. So I've already set up the Yaba router. I've set up my WAN IP and I've set up the LAN IP. You can also set up your DHCP. You know, DHCP is when you just want the IP address to be configured dynamically. You don't want, like I said earlier, imagine you have like 254, or let's just put that 200, maybe in your company or in your office, you have 200 devices to be on your network. Imagine when you are now doing a static configuration for all of them. It is hectic. It's not that easy to do. It's a labor. So you can also do your configuration using a DHCP. So to configure your IP address on DHCP, so that once anyone connects to it, they will automatically have an IP address. They don't need to do the IP addressing statically by themselves. Dynamically, the router or the device itself will give them the IP. So to do DHCP configuration, you click on IP, come to DHCP server, DHCP setup, then select the interface that will give out the IP. The IP that we configure it to be on eta 2, I believe. You just be clicking next. This is space, next. You've already configured the gateway 1.1. Next, you can see now the IP will now start from .2 to .254. So your printer, your laptops, your phone to 254. Wow, that's much. But for an organization, that means that you people should be like plenty there. Even your security personnel will also be on your network. But that's just by the way. So you can click next. Your DNS servers for internet communication, you know the public DNS are very popular, 8.8.8, 4.2.2, 8.8. You can Google it, you can insert them as you prefer. So your DHCP is successful. So I think I'm through with the basic configuration for the router at Yaba. Now I'll move on to the router at Sule, presumably now. Just like we did, I'll move on to connecting to it now. Launch my Winbox. Go to the neighbor tab, wait for some minutes. Traditionally, when you power up your Mikrotik router, You're expected to hear a beep sound. So some cases it might be, some cases might not be. Like the one I'm using now, I'm not hearing any beep sound. That doesn't mean that the router is bad. It's still okay. So some routers, if everything is all well and good with them, they will display the MAC address, IP address, and the like. But if you're not that patient, you can just come to the back. You will see where they wrote the MAC address, and you can type it out. Wow, this is not that clear. But let me just see if I can do that. I think I'm saying D4. C6D, C8, I'm saying C6. C12. Let's hopefully if that's the correct MAC address. Well, if it is not it's an error could not connect, so you can see that from here we are even entering some troubleshooting. So if I cannot actually connect through port 1, then let's try the MAC address. Sorry, let's try the IP. So I'll go to my network Ethernet, change the adapter options. Ethernet 1. Right click on properties. You already know how to do this. And 4. 192.168. Change 2. It's already reconfigured. To confirm, I can go to my command prompt. Let's see if I ping 192.168. Wow, it's not responding. Destination host unreachable. Okay. So ping command is one of the and I've already disconnected. Ping command is one of the it's a command for reachability test if the host is live on your network or it is not. It's an acronym for packet internet dropper. If I've not forgotten, it's an ICMP protocol. Okay, yeah, the IP is live, so I can now launch my inbox. You can see now, because I was not patient enough. One of two things. D4CA6D D86613. Port 1 will be 1, 2. That one of the advantages of Mikrotik again. Can just be changing. This one I has 4 ports. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So looking at the MAC address, the last 2 will just be the one that you'll be manipulating. If on port 2 is 1, 3, that means that port 4 will be 1, port 3 will be 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6. And note that this MAC address is in base 16. And base 16 has this character 0 to 9 and A to F. Alright, that's just for. So I click on I want to log in using the IP, unlike the other one when I log in using the MAC address. So I click remove configuration. So clicking remove configuration now, I have to use the MAC address, no longer the exit. It's just my own culture. Okay, you can see the IP address is no longer there. That's what I was trying to explain using the router at Yaba, the one we labeled as Yaba. So now, if I want to log in, I click the MAC address, click connect. Hold on, voila, now I'm in. So if my memory serves me right, My memory serves me right. Let's just, like what we did again, disable some services that will not be making use of. Let me use the new terminal to do this. Since we use the Winbox, the other IP service, I want to see everything that is there. Right. So disable 0, disable, and disable one after the other. Disable 2. Oh, sorry, it's not 2. Disable 2. Disable SSH, which is 3. I've disabled disable 7. Is the last one. Alright, print. Can I see if everything has been disabled? Yeah, I'm left with Winbox. I can also change the name system identity to change the name of this router. Set name was site at you can see when it has changed. Now I want to add the IP address. IP address. Add address for the one. I can't remember the one that I used for 10.10.1. I think it was 10.10.2 that we used. /30. That's why it's good to document. It's an advice. Let me put it on the tab 2. Then I want to add the LAN IP 192.168.3.1/24 interface. Go to tab 4. To show everything, you can see my IP addresses now. So I've configured, okay, neighbor, IP neighbor. I just like doing this. Discovery settings. I think that's been done by somebody before. Okay. So now to excuse me, I'll be back in a jiffy. Now, and the one at Java is on port 1. You can see that it's just like a table test, a table connection. On in between the sites, you can have microwave as your means of connecting the two sites. You can also use fiber as a means of connecting the two sides. But because we are inside, we are doing like a table test, so we can use cable to lock them together. I guess. Okay. Sorry. So, site associated IP address 10.10.10.1 while okay, so now our desire is that the LAN networks should cross to the other side, as in to communicate with the other side. The LAN at Surulere, which 192.168.3, should communicate with the LAN at Yaba, which is 192.168.1. So for you to do that, that's where your routing comes in. You go to your IP, click on route, click on plus. You can see that there are some already pre-configured routes in your routing table. So where is our destination? Our destination is 192, the network address of the other end, 1.0/24. And what's the gateway? The gateway will be the port at LAN through router. So the gateway will be the port at Yaba, the IP address of that port, which I believe should be 10.10. If sorry 10.10.10.2. Hopefully, if I'm right. 10.10.10.2. So apply. Okay. So that has been done. You can see the route has been added. These are routing table. To check your routing table, just click on IP route to bring out your routing table. So for AS, this means that it is active and it's static. I just don't want it to go anyhow. I want it to follow a particular path. There are two forms. There is a default route. In fact, there are three ways to configure routes on your Mikrotik device. You have the default route, you have the static route, and you have dynamic as well. But because we are just connecting two sites, I don't need the default and I don't need the dynamic. Since I just want these two, just as an example, setting as an example, you can just make use of the static route too. So what we have done here, we repeat the same in Yaba route. Let me just now assuming I'm now at Yaba. Assume I'm at Yaba now. Okay, wait for some minutes. Assume I'm at Yaba now. Come on. Wow, it's taking longer than necessary. 75, 75, 76, 77, this would be 78. Okay, that's C4. It's one of the things that we'll be encountering on site. C4, AD, come on, 34, C7, AD, I think that's C7. Let's check it out. Wow. Okay, now I've connected using the marker successfully. So those are the things that you just need to work with. If the IP address is not connecting, if you use a MAC address, then you just look at the back, can calculate. If you have the knowledge of base 16, can calculate your, because when it gets to 9, there's no 10. You know that after, let's say the MAC address on this port, the last one is 9. If you are going to move to the next one, you are not going to have 10, it's going to be A. So I'm now in inside Yaba router. So I like to check my IP addresses. It's 10.10.2. If I'm not wrong. Now let's say I want to get to Surulere. Just come to IP static configuration now. IP route. Click my add. What's my destination address? 192.168.3.0/24. My gateway will be what? 10.10.10.1. Apply. Okay. Can I from here can I ping 3.1? Let me confirm. That should be in small letters. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So I can ping 3.1 from Yaba. I can ping Surulere from Yaba. If I can ping Surulere from Yaba, that means I can telnet into Surulere from Yaba. If you want to telnet, come to tools, telnet. Oh, remember I've disabled the telnet port. Let's confirm if it's going to work. Unable to connect with address one. I've disabled it. So you can't do telnetting on this particular network. So that's it. That's the static configuration for how you can make a particular network at a site to connect to another network at another site using your static configuration. What you just need is a LAN network. Let's say you want to connect network site A and site B. You need a LAN network of site A. You also need a LAN network of site B. Then the connecting interfaces, we need to know, because those ones are going to serve as the gateway. If I'm on A, I want to connect to B. If I'm on site A, I want to configure it to work with the LAN on site B. So that means that under my IP route, my gateway will be the port on, if I'm on A, my gateway will be the port on B, and my destination will be the LAN network of A. The same thing, just do your cross multiplication. The same thing you will do. The same set of configuration you will make while you are on the other side. So those are the things that you just need to do for static configuration. And this is just an introduction. I know that I actually rushed some things so that you can just get a feel of what we are going into. This is what we are going to build on. Even in this video, I've also mentioned of Dhcp. I made mention of how you can use your MAC address to log into your Mikrotik. In as much you have your username and password. Unlike some devices, there are no any other ways. In fact, with Mikrotik, you don't need this challenge of using your serial cable, console port, or just have your Ethernet cable connect to any of the ports. In as much those ports are not disabled, even though they are disabled software wise, with your reset button you can clear it. So with Mikrotik, you have a lot of options. You are not restricted to just this particular aspect. The only thing is that you must have a Winbox and you must have an Ethernet cable. So I believe you have enjoyed this video and I have picked one or two things. If you have any question, you can reach out to us. If you have any, you can make your comments. Contribution are also welcome. I can make this video get better. And if you have any consultation that you are also like, you can also consult us for any configuration on your network. How can you even secure your network? I believe the space is large enough, and I want to appreciate you for taking your time to watch this video. You can share it with your friends. If you have students that are like they want to take networking as a career, you can share the video with them as well. We appreciate any effort that you are going to put in to make this video go viral and wide. Let me say thank you one more time, and see you in our next video. Enjoy.